Hi, my name is Jonathan, and this is a Bowspring Practice focusing on the Seeds Kata. And I'll admit, I don't know all of the poses from the classical sequence. So there's a few like Baby Hurdler, Twisted Baby, and Humble Cat that I just actually don't know what those poses are. So whether they're future Olympic champions or Chucky or Garfield, we'll leave it to globalbowspring.com to show what those poses are exactly. But this is my interpretation of Seeds Kata. So please sit in a tall seated position and lift your hands into globe hands, touching your fingertips together. Bend your elbows out to the sides. Lift your chin to the horizon and close your eyes. Begin to push your fingertips into each other to strengthen your arms. And take 3 cycles of deep breaths. So inhale fully and exhale all the way out. Again, breathe in and breathe out. Then last breath. Open your eyes, reach your arms forward, lean over to one side, left or right, and whichever side you lean to, lift the leg on the other and try to step forward. Then sit back with your hips and push off and rise all the way up to stand. Beginning in earth position, bring your hands low, turn your palms face down and curl your fingers into seed position. Bend your knees slightly to move the hips back, slightly further back than the rib cage. And then with your arms, reach them out in front of you. Push your arms straight. And I often call this one railroad arm. So on an inhale, pull your hands down, lift your rib cage up, work your legs straighter. And then exhale, sit down and back. Again, pull down, inhale, lift the rib cage up. And exhale, sit down and back. Continue that, just pulsing. Inhale up, exhale down, moving up and down, and maybe even a little side to side as you do that. Imagine you have some sort of resistance, a bar to hold on to. I find it quite easy because growing up I had a lot of imaginary friends. So it's easy for me to imagine a resistance and a bar to pull down on to lift up. And then now just reach the arms out in front and then seaweed swayed arms. So just sway a little from side to side. And when you go one way, like to the right, reach the left arm a little longer. And then when you go over to the left, reach the right arm a little longer. And there's no final form. It's more about just finding freedom, movement through the sides of your rib cage. And then once you feel like that's expanded and stretched, place your hands to your knees in recovery position. So with your hands to your knees, turn your knees in slightly, move your inner thighs back, broaden your sit bones, and push your knees forward into your hands, and then place your hands a little to the outside of your knees so that you can push the knees out and feel your glutes get stronger. Then make horseshoe hand with your right, place it to your thigh, and then reach the left arm up, arc over towards the right, make a seed hand position with your left, and then stretch long. And then switch to the other side, horseshoe hand with the left, seed with the right, arc over to the left, and then reach your arm long, tilt your ear to your shoulder. And come back up, same thing, horseshoe hand to the right thigh. This time though, support your head with your left hand ecstasy arm, tilt your ear to your shoulder, lift the left side rib cage up, move your hips back and start to twist a little bit towards the upper left. And then come back up, left hand to your thigh, bend your right elbow, push your head into your hand, twist towards the upper right, send your hips back, and then rise up to stand again. Bring your hands into globe hands and take a wide stance with your feet. And you may have to turn on your mat so that you can be pointing the long edge of your mat with your toes. In this wide stance position, bend your knees, move your hips back, and then on an inhale, tilt forward and reach your arms forward. Exhale, rise back up. Do that a few more times. Inhale, hinge, reach the arms, and exhale, come up, moving with your breath. And then one last time. I often like to use blocks, so you could put fingertips to the floor, dome hands, or you can even come up onto a block, something to just bring the floor a little bit higher for you. And then option to go one hand into hand mirror position, where you bring the palm in front of the face. Even think of hooking onto a cable in front of you to pull your rib cage forward as your hips move back. And then switch to the other. Pull, lengthen, and then lower the hand back down. Maybe move the block off to the side. To come up, cup the back of your head, slowly rise, bring your hands back to globe hands, turn your right foot forward, and then step your left foot forward. Turn your feet out, and having the feet about hip distance apart, bend your knees, move your hips back, and slowly make your way down into a deep squat position. And a deep squat in Bowspring has the heels slightly lifted. Hold on to your knees and pull your knees up to move the hips further back so that the low back can move in and up. And then place your hands in crown hands, push through the top of your head, lift and grow your spine. Then reach your arms out, go dome to bright hands, and then one by one, step back into all fours position, hands and knees. In all fours, pull your toes closer towards your knees to create hero foot. So instead of having the shin completely flat and the tops of the feet completely flat, pull your toes forward to lift through the front of your ankle so that the muscles in your legs get stronger all the way up into your glutes. Then dome the left hand, push both arms straight, lift your rib cage higher, sit your hips back, and push your knees out to the sides. Then switch, make right hands left, dome hands right, tilt your ear to your shoulder, lift your rib cage up, and then go back, right hands. In right hands position, push your knees energetically to the side, feel your glutes lift up, and then sit your hips back into spring load position. In spring load, push your hands firm into the floor, pull your hands towards your knees, try to move the crown of your head forward, your rib cage forward, but keep springing your hips back like you're ready to shoot forward, but also move back. Pulling and moving, pulling and moving. Then tuck your toes under, lift your knees to hover, and turn both knees to the right. Bring your left hip down, reach your left arm long, and lie onto your side body in side bow position. Reach the right arm in front of your chest into dome hand position, and pull your hand in the direction of your feet to move your rib cage more forward. Then lift the right leg to hover, place dome hands to the front of your thigh, and push your knee forward into your hands so that you can move your hips further back and your low back moves in and up. From here, place your right hand in bright in front of your chest, push down, Come up onto your left hand, tuck your toes under, and just swivel to the other side. Turn your knees to the left. Reach the right arm long, lie onto your side body, and then extend your left arm in front of you. Dome hand position. Pull the rib cage forward. So move the hand towards the legs and pull the rib cage forward. Then lift your leg to hover, hand to the front of your thigh. Push your knee forward, resist with your hands back. So it's the reverse of a tug-of-war. I call it a push-o battle. Just that can be trademarked. And then from here, swing both arms in front of you, roll onto your back, wiggling your way to the center of your mat. Lift your feet to about the height of your knees, and then lower your legs halfway to the left, arms halfway to the right for a twisted core position. So one where you're twisted a little bit, but not in a relaxed state yet, to stay engaged and toned. And then come up and go arms to the left, legs to the right, pushing your head down, pushing your upper back down, push back through the back of the pelvis, or in this case, might be a bit more on the right glute. And then come back to center. This time, put your feet down momentarily, shift your hips to the right, and then drop both knees to the left. I like to put the left hand to the outside of the right thigh and right hand into a chin-up bar position. So just one arm in a chin-up bar position. It's typically how I do chin-ups at the gym, is just with one arm. That's a total lie. I can't even do a chin-up with two arms. Okay, release the hold of your knee, lift your knees up, shift your hips over to the left this time, drop your knees to the right, and then hold left arm in chin-up bar position, right hand at the outside of your thigh. And the legs go to the right, but think of the twist being to the left. And then rise back up. Lift your feet to the height of your knees, so square leg position. And then a core pose that's similar to fish in classical yoga. Make globe hands and then push your head down and try to lift your rib cage up away from the floor, just momentarily. And it's great at strengthening the muscles in the neck, particularly the back of the neck. Holding for 3, 2, 1. Allow the rib cage to come down. Lower just your left foot, hold the back of your right thigh, and extend your right leg up into the air for thigh root position. Pushing your thigh into your hands, pull your thigh downward towards your hip socket as you extend the leg straighter. Then bend your knee, lower your foot, and switch sides. Extend the left leg up, hold the back of your thigh, kick your leg straighter. It doesn't have to go all the way to straight. Then bend your knee, lower your foot, reach just your right arm overhead, roll to your right side, and lift your way up into all fours. From all fours, lower down onto your elbows, and then move your knees a little further back until you can come down onto your pelvis. Interlace your fingers and bend your knees, tummy time position. Push your knees down into the floor, push your elbows down, and pull the elbows back towards the hips so you can move the rib cage forward. And then in tummy time, just adding a little windshield wiper, just back and forth. And some of your windshield wipers might perform a little better than mine. Mine are a little old, maybe need an upgrade, but I can barely move just side to side. Some might have a little bit more range of motion. And then from tummy time, prepping for panther prep. So prep for the prep. Place your hands off your mat, out to the sides, maybe even turn them in slightly. Bend your elbows, push your knees down so your hips stay lifted. And then with the legs pushing down, push with your hands and lift up. Just because that's so fun, go down again, halfway, lift back up. And 2 more times, down, back up, and down, and back up. Move the knees a little closer in. Bring your hands back to your mat, all fours position. Push down with the hands, lift the rib cage up, but keep the belly descending. Push your knees out to the sides, feel your glutes engage and lift. Then lift your left leg back behind you, square leg position. Think of your knee on a coffee table, pull your knee down, move your hips back. Oftentimes when I'm at a party, I just put my knee up on a coffee table and tend to get funny looks on that one. So maybe imagine it's doing something else. Then lower your knee down and switch to the other side. Again, hero foot, the lower leg, so the ankle lifts. You can do the same thing even on the lifted leg. Pull the knee down, lift the rib cage up, sit your hips back. And then lower your knee. Same angle of the leg, 90 degrees, bend to the knee, so between the thigh and the shin, except this time open your leg out to the side. It can be helpful to go onto fingertips on the left hand. So an open leg position, kind of like a dog at a fire hydrant. Sit your hips back, but pull the knee forward energetically. And then lower your hand right. Lean to your left, dome your right hand, and lift your right leg out to the side. Pull the knee forward, sit your hips back. Sometimes to help with the resistance, you could even slide your right hand back so that you can put your elbow to the knee to push the knee forward into a resistance as you sit back and push your left knee out to the side. Then lower your knee. Lower your hand, and instead of cat-cow, I call this one snake-eel. So just moving in more of a serpentine action, side to side, left to right, wiggling your spine, moving, undulating your head and your hips. And then finding the place in the middle, tuck your toes under, push down with the hands, keep the rib cage lifted, and lift up into crouching cat position. Push the arms straight, keep the rib cage full, tilt the sit bones high up into the air, and the initial bending of the knees helps to shape the spine. Once you create the strength in your legs and the curves of the spine, begin to work your legs straighter without affecting the strength or the shape. Then turn both feet to the left, dome your left hand, twisted cat position, right ear to right shoulder, reach the left arm long, sit your hips back. Option to pulse and undulate a little bit, and then lower your left hand right, switch sides, turn both feet to the right, dome your right hand, and pulse a little bit up and down. Then lower your right hand right, lower your knees momentarily before moving into crouching sphinx. Lower your elbows, interlace your fingers, then tuck your toes under, send your hips up and back. Push down with the elbows, feel the rib cage lift, stay strong in your legs. And then lower your knees down, lift back up onto your hands, lift your knees, slowly step your feet in and move your hands back. Extend out through your spine, rise up. Recovery position, but this time just on fingertips. And then arms out in front of you, globe hands position, leg kata, lean to your left foot, and step your right foot slightly forward. Push the right foot forward to move your hips further back. Bend both knees, sitting back. Then step your foot back behind you. This time push your left foot forward, send your hips back, and take a little twist over towards the left. Return back to center. Push off your foot. Lift your right leg into the air for a standing balancing position. Keep the balancing leg bent slightly to harness more strength. And then finally, zigzag position. Step your right foot back and to the left of your mat. Bend both knees, move your hips back. Pulse a couple times on the spot. Then push off your back foot and step forward with the right, going immediately to the second side. And this time you can switch to 2 seeds together. Push your left foot forward, move your hips further back, sitting back, creating the arch in the low back. Keep your arms strong. Then pull your foot back, take a step back, lunge again, but this time add the twist to the right, pushing the arms into each other, keeping them strong and engaged. Pulse a few times up and down, then return to center, push off your back foot, lift it into the air, standing balancing position. Keep your gaze to the horizon, chin lifted. Imagine a resistance above your arms that you could push into, and that resistance would hold strong, but the rib cage could continue to lift. And then finally, zigzag. Swing your foot back and to the right, bending both knees, moving your hips back, pulsing a couple times on the spot. And then eventually stepping forward again. This time now Hercules clasp, which I've then learnt is Ganesha mudra. So clasping your hands with interlocked fingers, thumbs to the outside of the ring fingers, and then now step your right foot back, turn it to the right for tribal lunge position. It's helpful to have the foot turned in just a little bit. Bend both knees, send the hips back, pulse a few times on the spot. Think of it like warrior 2, but slightly shorter. And then push off your back foot. Switch, so switch the clasp, pull the hands away from each other, get your upper back broad, and then step back with your left. Turn the left toes in, bend both knees, pulse a few times. And instead of stepping forward, just turn your torso forward, lean, and then lift your back foot up, point your toes. Bring the top of the foot down, knee down. Reach both arms out. All fours position. Tuck your toes, turn your knees to the right, seated side twist. Dome your right hand, lift the rib cage up, point your knees to the right, and twist your torso to the left. Then lower your right hand bright, tuck your toes, turn both knees to the left, dome your left hand, Lift up tall, twist towards the right. And just as we transitioned earlier, lie onto your side, right arm long, roll all the way onto your back. Lift your right foot across your ankle, over your thigh. Lift your left foot and slide your right hand in between the gap of your legs for a cross ankle over thigh position. In classical yoga, this is called thread the needle position. Pulling the knee in slightly. Use your right elbow to push your right knee out to the side. And then switch the cross. Go left over right. Hold the top of your right shin. And then final pose before assimilation, the Shavasana of Bowspring. Finish in freedom position. Hold your knees, straighten your arms. Position the knees right over the hips. Gently push your knees up into your hands to make the back of your pelvis heavier and have your low back lift slightly. And then try to widen your shoulder blades one by one using your knees. And then from there, with that widening, create more support to slowly lengthen your legs out. Relax your arms along your sides. Assimilation. Allow yourself the opportunity to rest and grow. The Seed Kata, the seed sequence, is meant to be the base form, the initial seed from which your practice can grow to some sort of tree of knowledge.